Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to our new home. Basically, if you don't know, Danny and I moved into our first home together, and this is our apartment where we currently are, and I just realized it's a bit echoey, but hopefully the video turns out okay. But I just came back from a holiday from Greece, which is basically where Danny's from, and we had such a nice time. And I came up with a little bit of a tan, so I was doing quite a nice kind of glowy makeup look, so I figured I'm getting ready anyway today, so I figured I'll just film what I'm doing, so hopefully you guys are gonna enjoy it. I already have on my skin. Oh, this is by the way also kind of like a haul video because I shot for quite a few things that are kind of new that I haven't talked about on camera yet, so I figured I'll show you that as well. But I did get the Ordinary coverage foundation that I absolutely love, but right now I'm about 5 shades darker than I was before I left for holiday, so this is not gonna match me right now. So I'm gonna go with my Studio Fix foundation from MAC, which is probably a little bit too orange, but we're just gonna go with it. And I'm gonna use actually the new Sigma Curved Kabuki F83 brush, which as you can see has a really interesting slant, and I've been loving this one for a foundation. So yeah, unfortunately my foundation doesn't have a pump, so we're just gonna get some out. And I love this foundation because it gives such good coverage, like a really full-on coverage, but at the same time it doesn't have like a really cakey look finish to it, so it's quite nice and buildable, and it looks just really flawless and natural on the skin, which I quite like. So I do think the Ordinary one is better, but I quite enjoy MAC Studio Fix for kind of the days where I really want to look flawless. And then another thing I also bought that's really new for me, but everybody on YouTube uses, the Beauty Blender. Yeah, I know I never had it, but I bought it in Greece, and I've actually really been enjoying it a lot because it just kind of melts everything into the skin, and I've been loving it for concealer, so that's what I'm going to be using it for in a bit as well. But yeah, if you don't use a Beauty Blender, if you're like me and you waited a really long time to try it, I definitely recommend it because it is a really nice sponge to use. It's very squishy, it's much different from any other sponge I ever used, and I used a lot of them. Then for an old favorite, I'm going to use the Lasting Perfection Concealer by Collection, which I love and you guys know it. The only difference is now we're on shade 2, not shade 1. And as you can tell, I'm really proud of my tan because I don't tan. I mean, I do tan really easily, but I don't get many chances to tan lately. So this was just really lovely. Okay, then a new favorite I'm going to use is the Laura Mercier Translucent Powder. If you don't have this one, oh my god, it is so good. So I normally don't bake, but recently I've been really loving it. So I'm just going to use my damn Beauty Blender still and just really load it up with the powder. Look down and then go underneath the eyes and really kind of press it in. And it looks crazy, I know, but if you're going to use a lot of eyeshadow, which we're not going to do really today, it's really a good way to kind of catch just the fallout and, you know, glitter or anything you're using on your eyes. And I just feel like it makes the skin really nice and smooth, so I've been loving it. So whatever's left on the sponge, just kind of go around the face. So I've been enjoying that. Yeah, bronzer, let's do that. So I'm using the Bobbi Brown bronzing powder in shade medium, number 2. And for that I'm going to use my trusty 183 from MAC, which is just basically a stippling brush. And I'm just going to swivel it in, and I'm just going to go into the hollows of the cheek and really kind of trying to define the face, kind of slim it down a little bit, but I'm also going to bronze at the same time, so I'm going to kind of lift it up towards the cheekbone, just so that way I'm also giving a bit of warmth to the face, and when I apply the highlight it's going to look perfect. I'm also going to pop a little bit onto my forehead just to tie it all together. It looks far more natural if you apply there as well. There's probably a bigger brush for this, but doesn't matter. Okay, now it's time to dust off all of the baking, and I'm going to use the Sigma High Cheekbone Highlighter Brush F03, but I really like this one just for this step where kind of just dusting off any of the excess powder, because it's really nice and dense, so it helps to really pick up any particles of powder that's left on the skin. The new product I got is this MAC powder blush in the shade Peaches, and I got it from Katie here on YouTube. That's where I got the idea from, because she uses it all the time. I was like, okay, yeah, it's time. I'm transferred to it. So I'm gonna apply it with the Sigma Large Angle Contour F40 brush, and I'm using all of my brushes for wrong purposes. But that's the new thing, you know, try kind of discovering purposes for your products. Doesn't always have to be used for what the name says it should be used for. And I'm just applying it above the contour, so more into the cheekbones, a bit upwards. Again, it's slimming the face a little bit and it adds a very natural flash of color. I'm gonna go with my mini Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector in the shade Opal, and I've been loving this now in the summer with a little bit of tan. I think a glowing skin looks so good. So I'm just gonna kind of, you know, locate the cheekbone. So I'm gonna go a little bit like behind the eye and kind of work it onto the top of the cheekbone with this, and I'm just with the applicator gonna pop a few drops of it here like this, and then I'm gonna use just my finger to pat it in, but I'm not gonna over blend it. I'm gonna try and kind of keep the shine quite bright, but just blend around the edges. But I'm looking at my skin now, and you know how we powdered and baked? It's not disturbing the product underneath. It's very much sitting very nicely on top of it, so I've been really happy with that. And then, I just get my makeup back. I'm gonna use the same version of the liquid highlighter that I just put on, but in a powder version. If I knew where it is, oh, there it is. Again, this was a part of a little set. I've never really used this highlighter, but now I can't live without it. So this is again Becca highlighter, but this one is also in Opal, but in a powder form. But mine is crushed really bad. I don't know if you can see that. So what I do is, because it's so crushed, I'll just go in with my finger, and I have a lot of powder on it. And what I'll do is, I'm just resting this on my leg, probably not the smartest idea, but I'm gonna kind of blend it at the back of my hand like this, and then again with the finger, go on top of the liquid. Really push it in. Okay, I'm really happy with that. Now it's time for the eyes, and as you might notice, like this whole look is pretty much about the glow, but the, you know, really strong emphasis on it rather than like really strong lip or really strong eyes. But I am gonna contour the eyes a little bit, so I'm gonna go back into the bronzers I used on my face, and with this Sigma E40 brush, sorry that's my washer in the background, I'm just gonna slightly contour the socket of the eye. And this one is my older brush, so it's super fluffy, so I'm not gonna get a really precise color, but I'm just kind of working in the definition into the socket. And then on my Sigma E30 brush, just a little pencil brush, I'm going to use a little bit more of that highlighter. Again, dust it off at the back of my hand so we don't get too much fallout, and just work it into the inner corner. A little pop of highlight. Boom. Good. For my eyebrows, I'm actually going to let them be wild. I'm just going to pop a little bit of the Gimme Brow by Benefit in the shade number 4 and just like gently brush them out, just so they're a little bit tamed, but I'm not going to fill them in or anything. I'm just going to let them do their own thing, because they're a little bit on the bushy side right now, which I quite like, especially with this kind of like beachy, summery look. It's not about being very defined, it's more about letting the skin and the eyelashes and eyebrows, I guess, do their own thing. And now the final step, well, it's not the final step, the final step for the eyes is I'm going to use my Tarte Lash Curlers, a little bit of MAC Extend and Play, which is again a new product I got and I really like, and a little bit of the Roller Lash from Benefit, which is again another new thing I got. So I'm just going to mix them up and really give myself super bushy lashes, just because I want the eyes to be really, really clean, but I still want a lot of definition. Therefore we went into the contour and now building up the mascara just so it looks nice and bushy. Okay, and the final step to this look is going to be just to add a little bit of gloss. I am using a quite of a crazy color, but it's a lot sheerer when you start applying it. So this is the Makeup Forever Artist Plexi Gloss in the shade number 207. And this is another one of those I picked up in Sephora when I was in Greece. And again, it's such a cool kind of color when everything is so nude, and then just a little bit of a pop of a color without being too crazy. So this pretty much now completes the look. It's mostly about just keeping the emphasis on the skin, nice bronze and clean, and then just a little bit of a pop of a color on the lips, which is kind of something I've just been really, really loving. I love the highlight. I feel like I finally kind of got to a point where I really get the Shimmery Skin Perfectors by Becca, because for a long time I didn't just get the hype about it really, but now when I kind of learned to just use my fingers to really push it into the skin, I think they look so beautiful, so much nicer than any other highlighter I ever used, so I really enjoy it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, just a little kind of a haul slash get ready with me video, but yeah, I've been really enjoying this look, so I wanted to share it with you. And one little disclaimer, I know in the past few months we've been a little bit slacking. It's just a little bit with my housing situation that was a bit hard for me to film, but hopefully now in this environment where we have our own space and we know where everything is, and it's always, you know, just easy for us to keep up with the house, it's gonna be a little bit easier for me also to film. So hopefully you guys will kind of stick around with me and join me on the new journey where we're gonna kind of rebrand the channel and just film a lot more. And if you have any requests, don't forget to leave them in the comments below. I'm actually gonna film a few already videos that I know I want to do, so hopefully you guys are gonna enjoy them as well. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!